for,
ERSVP was. Okay, so let's,
hang on.
or should we all finish our lunch first? Yeah, there is.
Upstairs.
Okay, I will call this meeting of Brandon County Council elected official lunch special meeting. The time is 12:09, Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. Present, Mary Beth McGann, Grace Holiday, Jayden Hawks, Christine Sloan, Dave Boyden, Christine Crawford, Lori Jackson, Chris Baird, and the first order of business is to approve the extension of the deadline to January 31st for receiving clerk auditor applications. I think this is important for two reasons. It was over the holidays. Workforce services, there wasn't the first opportunity after the first year. I mean, it always only advertised for a very short period of time, and it only got one out. So I think it would be appropriate to extend the time period that we accept applicants.
Make a motion? I move to approve the extension of the deadline to January 31st, 2020 for receiving clerk auditor applications and authorize the chair to sign all associated documents.
Okay, motion by David Cox, second by Mary Halliday. Discussion.
You need microphones on, please.
Discussion.
Will you just remind us what the current deadline is?
And maybe repeat the motion since streaming didn't pick it up.
I move to approve the extension of the deadline to January 31st, 2020 for receiving clerk auditor applications and authorize the chair to sign all associated documents.
Second.
Motion by Jaylen Hawks, seconded by Greg Halliday. When did it first close, Chris?
I said the 18th, which is actually a Saturday, so I guess technically the 17th. Because nobody will be in the clerk's office on Saturday.
So
That
it
was
was
just a-
supposed to close, and we're going to extend it to January 31st.
Another 2 weeks, basically.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We are to the round table with county elected officers. We'll start with Christopher. Do you have anything to bring, or thoughts or concerns or things you wish to discuss?
I think last time we had a roundtable, we talked about the bill that Representative Watkins had brought to allow counties to vote to change some elected officials to appointed rather than elected. And an update on that is that so far we haven't heard that there's anybody who's going to try to run that bill this session. So it did come before an interim committee, and I think it kind of died there as far as we know. I will be going up to the County Elected Officials Day on the Hill later in the month. I'll be there mostly because I'm representing the treasurers this year on the UAC Board of Directors as the president. and we've got a couple legislative items that we're working on. Nothing that's really that exciting. We're trying to run a bill to clarify certain items that treasurers may collect in the course of collecting taxes that are not part of the public record or part of the tax roll. For instance, when we get a phone number or an email for someone that we're using just to contact the taxpayer, that wouldn't be part of the tax roll. Also financial information that we collect from them. So that's the kind of proactive bill that we've got out there that we're working on. There's always bills that come up that we have to defend against, but I haven't seen a full list of those yet. Other than that, in my office, the tax collection season went really well. I just have preliminary numbers so far, but it looks like we probably hit around 97% on the collection rate, which is the highest we've ever had as far back as I can look. Just compared to last year's collection rate, it's going to save taxpayers, I think I calculated about $165,000 just in the difference between last year and this year. It'll make a really big difference to the 5-year average, which is what they use in the actual calculation, because the year that's dropping off was like a 92%. So we're replacing that with a 97 on the average. So it's bringing the 5-year average up, not quite a percentage point, but pretty close. So it does over time make a really big difference in the amount of taxes that we have to ask for. So that's good. And then I'll be presenting at the next council meeting the additional abatements that we brought in at the end of the year. And I've got good news to report there as well, which is that our abatements, and so this is tax relief to low-income seniors primarily on a fixed income, went up significantly, about 20%. And I think that's in due large part because more people found out about it. We had quite a few new applicants this year. I did put some ads in the paper and got some stuff on the radio this year trying to spread the word about it a little bit more. But the fact that it was mentioned in the letter that was on the back of the tax increase notice was probably one of the bigger ways that people saw it. It seems like a lot of people read that letter that was in with their tax bill explaining the increases. And we mentioned in the last paragraph that there was tax relief available, and that really seemed to get to a lot of folks who were eligible but didn't know about the program yet. And then when someone finds out about it, they spread by word of mouth. So we had quite a few people said, "Oh, my neighbor found out about this," and they came in. So, and the really great thing about that abatement program is that it's the majority of it is reimbursed by the state to the county, so it doesn't have any impact on other county taxpayers. So,
Excellent.
So it's just money that's flowing into our county. So it's a really good program, and we will try to do our best to keep getting the word out to make sure that everyone who's eligible can apply for it.
Could I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
What about military disability?
I haven't run any numbers on whether that one went up or not.
But the state doesn't reimburse
They
the
do
counties
not.
for that?
I think that's about it for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Christina?
What do y'all want to know? I have been spending a lot of time supporting the planning department, and that's one reason why I'm excited about this restructure in my office with a new deputy attorney. Will be half civil and half criminal, although my 5-year plan is to convert that position all to civil. We've gotten about 11 applications so far, and some really good candidates, so that's great. And really civilly minded candidates, because it is a different person, brain, mindset, skill set, everything between civil and criminal law. And, the planning department, we have been overloaded for so long.
Oh,
And
gosh.
even though the overnight accommodation ordinance might be slowing down some of the hotel development, overnight accommodation development, we've now incentivized all this residential development, and so they're continuing to be overrun. Meanwhile, we haven't had any civil legal expertise to help the planning department ever. And so there's just been a lot to do in the big picture of getting some procedure and forms and all of that up to speed, which has been huge. And then just doing the I don't have the capacity to be involved super early, like as early as the first step, which is the development review team meetings. And so some legal issues haven't been getting caught early enough as well. And then there's not a lot of support before the planning commission meetings unless something odd is happening. So that's something that this deputy county attorney, I hope that this person could spend maybe 40% of their time supporting the planning department, the planning commission, being involved with the development review team process. That'll be exciting. But as of now, it takes a lot of my time on just a daily basis to help as issues come up. That. I haven't been able to devote as much time to legislative issues as I'd like to, but I hope to do that once, I get this restructure off its feet. I hope I can work on some of the big vision stuff. I did work a good bit on the change in form of government bill, and we've worked through most of those kinks as far as I know, although of course in legislative session, anything can sort of happen.
Is your mic on? I can't tell.
It is.
Okay.
It says it's green.
Okay.
And there is, so we are going to be grandfathered in again, as it's written, because the study committee, assuming it passes the voters, the study committee approved the council manager form of government, which will now be prohibited in rural Utah.
Not yet, is it? It didn't
No,
pass
this
last year.
assumes it passes, but we expect it to pass.
You think the Lyman's not running that bill this year? Who's
No,
running it?
it's a guy out of Morgan County. He and I debated numerous times, I'm forgetting his name. He's a prior Morgan County commissioner. And so that was one piece I was pushing on, is this rural exemption, and UAC made it really clear that every other rural county wants this prohibition against council manager form of government. So Kern County loses by majority rule on that issue. And another big issue that was successful at changing the language was that they created this new percentage requirement for petitions. So if you went to petition, say in 3 years, to change our form of government, they were trying to impose a 40% petition signature requirement on rural Utah, where there's only a 5% petition requirement in big counties.
40 to 5?
Yeah, and
Or
so
5 to
that's
40?
not legal. I mean, that's discrimination without any justification.
No. Did I understand right that they were going to keep it at 5 in the urban areas and change it to 40%?
40%, which is unworkable, and so I recruited Kendall Laws to weigh in. Of course, they were going through their own process, which has since failed, but we didn't know what was about to happen. Morgan County, I recruited Morgan County as well, and so we had sort of this, rural Utah call with UAC, and what came out of it was there's actually a similar petition requirement for different referendums. It's not change of form of government required. It already grades these petition requirements for the various size counties. So it goes from 5 to 35, I think. We're at a 25% being a classified county. So we negotiated to refer to that language. So, UAC agreed to move on that at least a little bit. This was my first participation in the bill writing process, and it's quite interesting and surprising how really arbitrary it is and how few individuals are really writing these bills, which was interesting. There's another one out there that I've been hovering around, and I've been asking Shan Hackwell, our jail commander, to keep me up to date on, which is currently, once someone is incarcerated in jail, all of their state benefits cease while they're in jail. So if they're on Medicaid, which most of the folks are, a huge percentage of our jail inmates are on Medicaid, Medicaid coverage ceases the moment they get incarcerated, which then requires the county to spend money for their health care and for some other costs. And it's a relatively large burden, and we've also had some billing issues with MRH, although we're working through it. But there is a bill that's out there that would eliminate that issue, and it would keep the Medicaid coverage consistent when someone goes into jail. That helps us not only for hospital costs, which is big, but the other really cool thing is that it also obligates mental health coverage, because that's a huge piece now, is trying to get more mental health treatment in the jails, which has been a struggle, and Four Corners doesn't have the funding, and the county doesn't have the funding as of now. It's something that I've talked with the sheriff about doing, is budgeting for a mental health counselor that is devoted to the jail. And obviously the sheriff's office budget got a ton of coverage last budget cycle, and we decided this was not the time to try to do that. But this bill would eliminate that issue anyway, which is another really cool piece of it.
Now, what number is this bill, do you remember? Senate
No,
bill or
that's the
House
problem,
bill?
is Shan hasn't been, he said that Senator Hinkins discussed it with him, and
So
he
it's
hasn't seen anything about it, and so I just texted him and said, hey, do you know anything about it? If for some reason Shan misunderstood and it's not a bill that's gonna run in this session, I certainly want to make that happen. So it's something I want all of us to be involved in. We did have a great meeting with MRH recently, and Jen Sadoff is working on a lot of these same issues also, and is such a super creative brain, so we asked her, hey, clue the county in as well, because we're all working together on these issues. She's gonna be up there in February up in Salt Lake meeting with our local legislators.
Who's this?
Jen Sadoff,
Oh, Jen.
CEO of the hospital,
Yeah.
so, it's definitely a bill I wanna have her around once I get more information.
And you think maybe Hinkins is sponsoring it, or he's just
No, but
interested?
you mentioned the bill to Shane, and what I'm unclear of, is this a bill that's currently written and being run in the next session, or is this a bill that Hinkins is aware is of interest? And so I wanna be able to support Hinkins or whoever else and make it happen.
Me too. And what are they kind of referring to it as?
I don't know. It's gotta be so, I don't know if it's, jail focused or Medicaid focused, but it's Medicaid coverage for jail inmates. So that's a big one. The TRT, I know that UAC has revised their language or finalized their language, to the extent they're going into legislative session. It didn't change from that last meeting where we looked at, we workshopped the language, hasn't changed since that, as far as I'm aware.
Well, there was no language when we first met about it.
The last
But
time
the
we talked about it,
concept-
there was.
With the travel council or
Yeah.
a different time? No, there
I
was
think
no
it's
language.
been-
There was a write-up on the intent.
Right.
There was no language yet.
It's my understanding they use that same language and we don't quite have resolved the issue of, well, what if TRT goes down?
Yeah, I didn't see that was addressed
Yeah.
in
So
the language.
That's still out there and it's something I need to focus on. But again, so far it's been hard for me to find the time to work on those big picture issues, but I expect to do that once we get this restructure out. We've been meeting with the court about trying to set up a mental health court. There's some concern that we don't quite have enough people to do that yet. And it is something that there's not additional funding for, same with drug court. There's not additional funding at the state level for the county or for our judges. So Mary Manley volunteers her time to make our drug court happen, which is amazing and a successful program. Right now, the thinking with court staff and Judge Ferguson is that we don't have enough folks that would benefit to formalize a mental health court, but we're starting to work on law baby steps, so more review hearings for folks that need it.
Do what?
More review hearings before Judge Torgerson to just make sure people are going to treatment and staying committed to mental health. And those kind of meetings surprisingly take a ton of my time. I don't know, lots of other little things.
I have a question on the change of form of government bill. Is it fifth and sixth class counties that would be excluded? Or is it, is that the cutoff?
Fifth and sixth only.
Well, we might be ungrandfathered then in a few years if we cross the
that's
threshold to a
true.
fourth class county.
I think it's worth fighting. I think it's really worth us becoming assertive, finding out who's on the committees. And last year when I worked on it, it's during the committees that we want to contact all the committee members and get people to contact them, because if we can kill it in committee, we're a lot better off. So,
Well, just remember, we're grandfathered, and so don't make them mad at grandfathers.
that's true.
Yeah,
But
I
it-
think that would be Curtis's position.
So
This makes me mad.
they're doing a bill that's gonna force a three-member commission on all fifth and sixth class counties? Is
You
that
could
what
have an
you're saying?
expanded commission, so you could have more folks. You could have,
More than three,
right, 5 or
Okay.
7.
but not a council.
Right.
Has to be a commission.
And then, I objected, okay, we're grandfathered in now, but what happens when you force us to change in a few years? years. Everyone is saying, hey, no one else, this isn't about Grand County, no one else in rural Utah wants a council manager form of government. We're not gonna force a change like what occurred before.
That's the thing, I know.
Yeah, they're making it easy to change the council manager form at the upper levels
Right.
and hard to change to a council manager form at the lower level.
And I heard, I don't know, when I was talking to him, I says, well, with our new census, there's a possibility we will have enough people to move to a class 4 county, then we'd get out of it. But then I was told, and I'll try to do more investigating, is that, they're not going to change, they're gonna hold off changing any counties. Even if they're not, because they want to look at the impact of all these, 'cause so many counties will be gaining population, so I guess they want to keep 6 classes, and they're afraid they might not be able to keep. I don't know what their reasoning was, but
Oh, so you're saying they'll raise the bar?
they'll raise the bar, that's what they're talking about, so that we will stay a 5th-class county, which will keep us, that was what I was told when I was speaking with, I think it was Lincoln Shorts. I think that's who told me that. So I will investigate and see if that's true, because I was really excited that we most likely will become a 4th-class county, and we'd get out of that where they're always trying to govern us.
There's definitely been a committee or some sort of working group on those issues around county classes and yeah.
Do you know what the committee's called?
No, I don't remember. But it'd be under the local government area, I think.
The same one that the form of government.
Yeah, I would think so. Political subdivisions, I think.
Political.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know those numbers off the top of your head? Where class county takes and how this
No, but I got the book.
It's 11,000 exactly.
And what are we now, 9,800?
Well, the last census, I think, had us at like more like 9,400 maybe. We've had, projections since then, but the actual census, I think, was what? You can look it up on Wikipedia.
I got it right here.
And then I'm curious where San Juan County is.
San Juan County is a 4-class.
I'm just curious.
This is 17th edition, that's the last one.
San Juan's like 14 or 15,000.
Oh, okay. Well, still.
They have people living in Arizona.
No comment.
Yes.
I mean, if all of those counties love that form of government so much, they're not at risk of having
They
it
are
changed.
concerned about these
So why,
progressives moving into.
why are they so
Well, they
bent
did-
on forcing everyone to their point of view?
When I was at one of the committee meetings last year, one of the comments was, pretty much they just came right out and said they didn't want these newcomers to have a voice. That was pretty much the summation of what they were saying. They were concerned about that, more people were moving into these rural counties, and
They're like, look what happened to Grand County.
Yeah. And seriously, that's what they said.
Pretty much.
So they wanted, So, okay. While he's looking that up, I guess,
I think I'll go up there as the representative for Grand County. I'll go to the UAC meetings and raise as much cane as I possibly can
maybe
then.
we could get a couple of us up there. Yeah, it's just, and you
They
do,
don't care about us. I called into one UAC meeting, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that again.
Oh, I
I
went-
can't say though, we're grandfathers, so don't mess that up.
but yeah, when I was up there I went to a couple of their sessions on Thursdays last year, and And they don't like us. Although Brandy Grace told me yesterday that they really did like us. So, now I guess we're to council. Oh, no, we aren't. We have Chris.
So we've got a lot of clerk stuff going on right now. There's the presidential preference primary that's coming up. And tomorrow's the deadline that we set for folks to let us know what ballot they would prefer. If they're not a registered Democrat or Republican, they're not going to get a ballot unless they let us know. And if they want a Republican ballot, then they're going to have to affiliate as Republican. However, the Democratic primary is open to anybody, including Republicans, I guess, if they so chose. And then there's the tax referendum that's coming into the office right now, so we're checking all those signatures and filing those with the state, as well as I think there's I can't remember the full title, it's the Carbon Tax Initiative, that's a statewide ballot initiative that we're getting packets in also for, so that's keeping staff pretty busy, just checking signatures.
So you check the signatures of these? Okay,
Yep.
I got one filled out to turn in.
So yeah, I mean the thing is to remember that there's deadlines associated with all of these different things. So for like the carbon tax initiative, the deadline, once you get your first signature, the deadline's 30 days thereafter to turn it in, or otherwise the whole packet's invalid. And I did get a packet where somebody miscalculated by 1 day, and we have to throw the whole packet out. We can't count it. And when we upload it into the state system, it will flag it and say this is not compliant. Same thing could happen with the sales tax referendum. That one's 14 days. So I just, anybody who's petitioning and gathering signatures needs to make sure that they count the days accurately, because if you miss it by even one, your whole packet's going to be invalid. And then January 2nd was the first day that anybody who's running for any of the open elected positions at the county that require a petition can come in and give their notice of intent to gather signatures. Then the clerk's office will relay that information up to the lieutenant governor's office. They'll give us all the info we need to put together a packet for the candidates. And so the districted council members require 25 signatures, and all the at-large positions in the council and the other elected officials require 100 signatures. And so the time for collecting signatures has started, and then the filing period for filing a candidacy is March 13th through March 19th. And so it's going to be a really busy election year. There's going to be also,
Which offices are open?
so there's 5 council seats up, including 1 at large. Then there's treasurer, assessor, surveyor, and recorder, and then the clerk auditor midterm vacancy. But there's also school board, there's potentially the fire district if they get enough applicants, which they haven't for a long time. I don't even remember the last time they had an actual election. So long that we can't even figure out how we're going to do it if they do have enough. And then the Sewer and Water Improvement District has also got, I think, 2 trustee elections up. And I don't know, I put the full long list in the paper. It's a lot. It's a big election year. So we'll have the presidential preference primary, then we'll have the regular primary, and then we'll have the general election. 3 elections. And that's just after we just barely got done with the city's election, had to start with all this other. So it's pretty much, if we keep doing the city's election, I think that office is just going to be doing elections all the time.
Are Are they gonna be, the mail-in ballots again?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're all by mail, for Grand County's, the elections that Grand County runs are all by mail. I don't know if GWSSA is going to run the improvement districts election by mail. I'm not sure how they do it. They do their own elections. But yeah, and so since the 2019's over, we're also reconciling all the bank accounts and just trying to tidy up everything and try to get everything done as much as I can before I transition over to council admin and training. And so that's also what I'm working on mostly right now, is just straightening the books out, getting everything figured out for 2019. That's all I've got. I haven't heard anything really from the Clerk Auditors Association about potential legislation. Earlier in the year, I heard about, or earlier, meaning last year, I heard some rumblings about the Watkins proposed legislation, but I haven't heard anything about that for a while. So
CPA thing?
That plus, well, it kind of morphed, as I understand it, in concept, and so I'm not entirely sure where it's at or what they're thinking. I know that they originally were thinking making or providing the possibility that the voters could vote to make several different elected positions by appointment, and then started morphing that a little bit and tagging on qualifications as well, or in lieu of an appointment. So I'm not sure if that's going anywhere or if it's just dead now. It's kind of a concept, though, that's been bounced around for a long time. But other than that, I haven't heard of anything affecting the clerk auditor's elected position yet. I'm sure there'll be things that come up, but I haven't heard anything yet. That's all.
I know, I'm really concerned about the tax bill that the state passed. It's a way to tax the poor, for sure. And I had a petition. I was going to let anybody that hadn't signed give them an opportunity to, but I filled it all out. But they have someone at the library, if you haven't been able to sign. Make sure you do, unless you don't agree with me, and then don't sign. But I think it's interesting that we have both parties, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have representatives that are working really hard to get signatures. So it's one of the times that we've had, working together. So I think that was fun. I was excited to see that. That was all I had to report. Anybody have anything else?
Let's go, baby.
Yes, congratulations.
Stop sleeping.
Oh, yeah, you're tired.
You guys look tired enough.
I'm not a new member to the Sleep Deprivation Society.
Well, let me see. Future considerations. Do we have any future considerations for our next meeting? Do we have any future considerations?
Are you going to have the council give any updates? Or?
I asked if any of them had an update,
Oh, okay.
and none of them jumped up and said, yes, we give an update every 2 weeks, Grants.
I know.
Anybody? My update was that I had something on my mind for a future consideration, but I just went out of my brain. So no one has any future considerations?
Just a reminder, the next quarterly is already scheduled and should be in your calendars. Gabriel, it wouldn't be in yours yet, but April 14th, so it's the second Tuesday of the next quarter. After that, they're not actually established, but if you want to keep doing the second Tuesday of each quarter, you tell me, and we can set it up.
What do you think? I find it worthwhile. Do we want to continue after
Yes.
April? Yes.
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 I had I don't know if this is the proper venue for this, but I had a call last night from a representative from the hospital. Reference a health clinic, evidently, San Juan County
Oh, yeah.
is
Is that
going to
what
CIB to get money to build a health clinic in their half of Spanish Valley. Of course, needless to say, the hospital is opposed to it, because that's competition against them. And if it was a clinic down there, then they would ship their people down to Monticello, to the hospital in Monticello. Sounded a little odd to me, but, so I don't know if anybody else got that call on the council or not. But it also brings up the idea that, you know, we passed this change in zoning to apply to the county, but not in San Juan's portion of Spanish Valley. So they can build all the hotels they want, and we wouldn't have any say in it. So it's just some things that came up, and the representative from the hospital said that they were going to call all the members of the council, and I don't know if they did.
I-
They amended, San Juan County amended their land use code to deal with lodging recently. And they've got an overlay reference in that code. I've not seen a map of that overlay, but
Yeah,
it's pretty similar to what we've done.
okay.
The citizens in northern San Juan County have been pretty active of going down to the council meetings down there and, you know, talking to the council people. But we did talk about having council meetings with San Juan and Grand County, and we haven't. We should probably put that on a future consideration and get something set up. If not with the council, at least with their new manager.
Greg, what was the request from the representative from the hospital to
For
you?
us not to support San Juan's CIB bid to get money to build a health clinic.
So they want us to contact
A
us.
letter, a joint letter maybe
I
to
don't
the
know,
CIB?
they just didn't want us to support it.
Joint letter.
So I was at the Canyonlands Health District meeting last week, and this topic came up.
Came up then?
Yeah, and they at that point, they were talking about gathering written statements from the hospital, from the county, another entity. It's not coming to mind right now. Just, I mean, because as you kind of sort of hinted at, there's not a whole lot we can do other than say,
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense.
Well,
And
yeah, I
otherwise,
mean,
we don't really
you
have
know,
any say.
You know, to have a clinic is one thing, but if you have any cases that need to be hospitalized, to transport them here to Monticello, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Transport them, they're saying if they're going to treat them at their clinic in San Juan County, that they would
But-
receive care at their hospital
In
San
Monticello.
Juan County.
Yeah.
But before you go down the lane of, you know, doing joint letters and becoming in direct opposition to San Juan County with the CIB, we need to discuss this with San Juan County.
Yeah, we do.
Because you're
Oh, yeah.
talking about, you know, the San Juan County CIB board member that's been really helpful to us.
Is-
And Commissioner Bruce Adams
Yeah.
in advocating for our projects at the CIB for years. And so just out of courtesy, I think it would be good to discuss, you know, what they're planning to do there before we just enter into another dynamic like what was going on with the truck stop, you know. But a joint meeting is a good idea, but we should communicate with the commission and give them an opportunity to, you know, communicate the needs of that clinic, and, you know, since
Should
this is
we-
another example of, this is an activity that they're pursuing in their county, you know.
Sure.
Should we reach out and to, say, Bruce or Maribel, or what's the gentleman's name that's the new manager? Mac McDonald, and see if one of them would come to our next council meeting and talk to us about their proposal? And just so everybody gets the same information?
Yeah, I don't know, it's almost, to me, Mary, if we have a problem with it, we should probably go talk to them. I mean, asking them to come,
Okay.
you know.
So the hard thing with that is their council meetings are on the morning of our council meetings. So, we could, three of us could drive down there. Or do we want to meet with just the manager without, in an informal setting? Maybe with the manager and Bruce.
That's what I recommend, we don't even have enough information.
I don't really see a good result, even if we decided to oppose them, if Grand County and the Moab Hospital, made a plea to the CIB board to not support this San Juan County project. The probability of the CIB responding positively to us is
Very small.
very low, and
0%.
the negative implications of that, blowing back on our future requests and stuff, I just don't see.
Maybe approach it
See it.
that, how can we work together on this? If you feel there's a need for a clinic, how can we work so that our medical services aren't being negatively impacted? Say, can we work together?
What's the best interest of the customer?
Yeah.
Patients, because I would assume that transport to MRH would often be in the best interest of that patient.
Oh, yeah, because then their family can come and visit them and, such as that. Yes.
So this,
Came up at, I think it was the December AOG meeting, early in December, and I was just reading through the agenda the night before the AOG meeting and noticed that item on there, approve CIB grant application for the San Juan Clinic, and that was the first I'd heard of it. So I emailed the hospital administrator that night, it was probably 11 at night, and asked her if she knew anything about it. She called me back the next morning and she said, I'm completely blindsided. So one thing is, if you look at the CIB application, there is a checkoff box that says, is this part of a regional planning effort? And they checked yes. Well, to me, a regional planning effort says that
include
you've
us.
at least talked to the hospital that runs the clinics in Grand County already, which wasn't done. The other thing that I'm not convinced it's needed. They say citizens out in San Juan County are asking for this. I don't know how many citizens we have out there, but it's like an 8-mile drive into Moab Regional Hospital. And to me, coming from a nonprofit world where duplication of services is such a no-no, it's a big thing. It's expensive to duplicate services. It's really expensive to duplicate the equipment that you need for those services. So doing that at taxpayers' expense, I'm pretty opposed to it. At the same time, I'm not sure there's a lot we can do, but I sure would hate to, on the one hand, I'm saying it's probably not going to make it. Meanwhile, you've spent, I can't remember the number, $7 million on this clinic that does many of the same services that the hospital does. So that's where I'm at, and I really don't, that meeting was held in, the mayor and I participated remotely. So we were in her office joining by video conferencing, and it was a pretty contentious subject.
Yeah.
San Juan County is really quite set on doing this, and they can't believe we'd have the gall to oppose it. And in fact, they wanted to put it off until the next meeting because the vote was deadlocked on whether or not to support that application going to the CIB, which, it can go anyway, but the CIB welcomes comments, I guess. So it was a deadlock vote. So technically, the motion failed, and then somebody said, well, let's put it off till the next meeting, which they did, and then we had another big discussion on it right here in this room. And at the same meeting in December, they said, well, maybe we could vote to not send our comments to the CIB. And I said, it's a public meeting. Anybody can know what these comments are. So AOG board might not be very happy with me right now. But anyway, that's the history I know of it. And welcome to suggestions as to where to take it.
I think we need to do something proactive. I really value Curtis's input, and I would like to hear from Christina if we need to, you're doing the health stuff. If we should have a small group get together and go and talk, or even do a teleconference with their manager and maybe their chair, or Bruce. They couldn't have both of them.
I like that as a first step, just let it run.
Good?
I like the teleconference idea as a first step.
I would say whatever you do, be very, very careful. That bus truck stop letter almost shut us down at the schedule. And they warned them that they would have to cancel or get cut off.
It was also used in the letter with Senate President Adams over overnight accommodations ordinance. After I had attended, so it got a lot of attention up north.
I'm just saying, like, you gotta weigh the pros and cons of everything. There's a lot to lose.
I think having information, if we had a phone call where it was just asking information, we hear this is going, what are your, so we have more information.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's some assumptions. I've got family in San Juan County that they, their health services provided from, in northern San Juan County by the hospital in Monticello. So, if we had some data that says, 75% of the San Juan County, or I'm sorry, southern Spanish Valley residents in San Juan County prefer Moab Regional Hospital, then we could make, a decision or have a valid opinion, but just kind of making assumptions that, the citizens in the southern part of the valley would prefer Moab Regional Hospital because of proximity and those things. I don't really feel comfortable with that. And the reason why we're having the discussion is because Moab Regional Hospital feels threatened by it. And so we shouldn't be assuming like feasibility for San Juan County either, because if they didn't feel like it was feasible, then they wouldn't be moving forward with it. So, politics aside on the merits though, it's just that coming from a defensive place, and what position do we have to oppose that just from a place of a defensive mindset. I don't think there's much there, but.
It's just kind of anecdotal, but a lot of Grand County employees who are Grand County citizens, they don't even try to get an appointment in MRH, they just go to San Juan Hospital. The wait time to get an appointment is 20%. You just get out by like 2 o'clock. Good. But I'm just saying, it's anecdotal, but I know there's a lot of Grand County citizens that go straight to San Juan County because they can get an appointment in like the next day. We've also heard that, like, even if you go for x-rays, it's half the cost. That's it seems to me like the wait times at MRH have gotten a lot better in just the last few months, to me, anyway.
They've expanded their urgent care.
But when I first tried to get an appointment, it took like a month for the doctor even to decide that they would take me as a patient, and then another month to get an appointment. And I was just like, this is crazy. I'm going to San Juan County, I get an appointment the very next day instead of waiting 2 months.
Are we still on board of getting information?
Yes.
Not,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm negative to that.
There's nothing, we just say it affects us. We just want to know what your plans are. you know, and can we work together? Because it is. You can get into urgent care fairly easy, but to get into a regular, you know, I tend to see the nurse practitioners. I don't think I've seen my regular MD for a long time. So, okay, any other future considerations? Okay, I would call for a motion to go into closed session to discuss character, professional competency, or physical or mental health of an individual.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Curtis Wells, seconded by Greg Halliday. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously.